My boss placed a performance review on my desk and asked me to sign it. That would not have been unusual, except the employee named on the form had been dead for 6 months. His name was Daniel Mercer. He had worked beside me for almost 7 years at Arborcrest Medical Systems. I had attended his funeral. I had watched his wife place their wedding photograph beside his closed casket. Yet according to the document in front of me, Daniel had completed another 6 months of excellent work after his death. My name is Claire Benton. I was 38 years old, and I had worked in contract compliance at Arborcrest for nearly a decade. Our company sold medical record systems to hospitals across the country. Every contract passed through multiple levels of review because one mistake could expose private information belonging to thousands of patients. Daniel had been one of our best senior analysts. He was patient, careful, and almost impossible to pressure. He used to say that a rushed signature was more dangerous than no signature at all. That was why the form on my desk frightened me. My boss, Vanessa Cole, stood beside me with her arms folded. She was normally calm and professional. That morning, she kept glancing toward the glass wall of her office as if someone might be watching us. "I just need your signature," she said. I looked down at the form again. Employee, Daniel Mercer. Position, Senior Contract Analyst. Review period, January through June. Daniel had died in February. The report claimed he had successfully managed contracts in March, April, and May. It praised him for his remote work and his willingness to enter the office outside normal business hours. Daniel was dead during most of this review period, I said. Vanessa lowered her voice. I know. Then why does this exist? It is an administrative correction. A correction for what? We are cleaning up old personnel files before an external audit. I read the final section. Peer reviewer, Claire Benton. My name had already been typed beneath the signature line. All I had to do was sign. I did not review Daniel's work during this period. No one is saying you did. That is exactly what this form says. Vanessa pulled the document closer to me. Claire, this is not a legal confession. It is an internal performance form. Our internal forms become legal records during an audit. She stopped speaking. For a few seconds, we stared at each other. Then her expression changed. The nervousness disappeared. Her voice became cold. I need this completed before noon. And if I refuse? There is a department restructuring next month. I would hate for this to affect how leadership evaluates your cooperation. I could not believe what I was hearing. Are you threatening my job? I am asking you to help correct an administrative problem. By signing a false document for a dead employee? Vanessa looked toward the glass wall again. Then she picked up the review and placed it directly in front of me. Sign it, Claire. I pushed it back. No. I left her office and went straight to Human Resources. The HR director was a man named Richard Vale. He had been with the company for more than 15 years. People trusted him because he remembered birthdays, sent handwritten cards, and spoke gently even when firing someone. I told him everything. Richard listened without interrupting. When I finished, he asked me to repeat the employee's name. Daniel Mercer. He typed it into his computer. His polite expression disappeared. He leaned closer to the screen and typed again. What is it? I asked. Richard turned the monitor slightly away from me. This employee is not listed as deceased. I thought I had misunderstood him. Daniel died 6 months ago. I understand what you were saying. I attended his funeral. According to our employment system, Daniel Mercer is an active remote employee. That is impossible. Richard continued looking through the file. He receives regular salary payments. He has active health insurance. His employee credentials were used this week. My mouth went dry. When? Richard did not answer immediately. Finally, he said, his security badge entered the building at 2:14 this morning. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. That has to be a system error. Perhaps. Someone is using his badge. That is one possibility. Then we need to contact security. Richard closed the file. We need to handle this carefully. He asked me to write a formal statement about Vanessa. Then he told me not to speak with anyone else. By the time I returned to my desk, Vanessa's office was empty. Her laptop was gone. Her name had disappeared from the company messaging system. A department-wide email arrived 20 minutes later. Vanessa had been placed on administrative leave because of an employee complaint. Nobody knew I had filed it. At least, that was what I thought. Before lunch, 3 coworkers stopped talking when I entered the break room. That afternoon, someone left a note on my keyboard. It said, "Daniel's family has suffered enough. Stop digging." I took the note to Richard. He promised to investigate. Then he asked whether I had told anyone about the performance review. "No." "Good," he said. "Keep it that way." At 5:30, I packed my bag and walked toward the parking garage. The building was nearly empty. As I stepped into the elevator, my phone vibrated. The message came from an unknown number. There was no text, only a video attachment. I almost deleted it. Then I saw the preview image. It showed the front entrance of Arborcrest Medical Systems. The timestamp in the corner read 2:14 a.m. A man stood outside the locked glass doors. He swiped an employee badge. The doors opened. He stepped into the light and looked directly toward the security camera. My heart stopped. It was Daniel Mercer, the coworker I had buried 6 months earlier. Then another message appeared beneath the video. This one came from Daniel's company email address. It said, "You should have signed the review." I did not go home. I sat inside my locked car and watched the security video repeatedly. The man had Daniel's height, Daniel's narrow shoulders. Even the small scar above his left eyebrow appeared to be there. But the video was grainy, and the camera was mounted too high to show every detail. I called building security. The guard told me that nobody had entered at 2:14 that morning. When I mentioned the video, he became quiet. Then he said his system did not show any recording from that hour. Someone had deleted it. I forwarded the video and Daniel's email to my personal account. A minute later, my work phone went dark. My employee login had been disabled. Richard called me from HR. He said the company was placing me on paid leave while it investigated my complaint. "You need to stay away from the building," he said. "Someone sent me security footage of Daniel." There was a long silence. "Daniel Mercer is dead," Richard said. "You told me his file says he is alive." "I said he is listed as active. That does not mean he is physically alive." "Then who used his badge?" "That is what we are investigating." "His email account just sent me a message." Richard's tone changed. "Forward it to me and delete your copy." "Why would I delete evidence?" "Because the message could contain malicious software." "It was plain text." "Claire, follow my instructions." I ended the call. 10 minutes later, a woman named Emily Mercer called me, Daniel's widow. I had not spoken to her since the funeral. She sounded furious. "What did you report?" she asked. I was surprised she knew. "How did you hear about it?" Arborcrest's attorney called me. He said questions had been raised about Daniel's employment record. I explained the performance review. Emily did not respond for several seconds. Then she began crying. "The company has refused to pay Daniel's life insurance," she said. "Why?" "They claim he was never properly removed from payroll. The insurance company says there is no confirmed termination date because Arborcrest still lists him as an active employee." I felt sick. "How long has this been happening?" "Since the funeral. They keep asking me for new documents. Every time I send one, they say something else is missing." "Did you know Daniel was still receiving a salary?" "No. His paycheck stopped entering our joint account after he died." "Payroll says he is still being paid." "Then where is the money going?" Neither of us had an answer. Emily asked me to meet her. We chose a coffee shop far from the office. She arrived carrying Daniel's old laptop and a blue folder. The folder was empty. "Daniel gave this to me 3 days before he died," she said. "He told me to keep it somewhere safe." "What was inside?" "Contract numbers, vendor names, copies of emails. I hid it in our bedroom closet. After the funeral, everything inside disappeared. Who entered your house? Company representatives came to collect Daniel's laptop and security badge. She pushed the laptop toward me. They took the laptop they found in his office. They did not know he had this older one. Daniel had used the computer for personal projects. Most of the files were family photographs and home repair plans. Then Emily opened a folder labeled Benjamin's Baseball. Benjamin was their 10-year-old son. Inside were hundreds of ordinary pictures, but one photograph showed Daniel holding a small whiteboard. Written on it was a sequence of letters and numbers. Emily recognized it as a password. We used it to open an encrypted folder. Inside were spreadsheets showing millions of dollars in payments to a consulting company called White Harbor Solutions. The address belonged to an empty office building. The company had no website, no employees, and no visible business history. Yet Arborcrest had paid it more than $8 million over 4 years. Every payment had been approved by 2 people. One was the company's chief financial officer, Graham Pike. The second approval belonged to Daniel. Daniel would never approve this without documentation, I said. Emily opened another file. It contained a recording made 5 days before his death. Daniel's voice filled the room. If you are hearing this, I was not able to finish what I started. Someone has been keeping former employees active in our system. People who retired, people who resigned, at least 2 people who died. Their accounts are being used to approve payments to companies that do not exist. Emily covered her mouth. Daniel continued. Richard Vale controls the employment records. Graham Pike controls the money. I reported the payments to Vanessa. She told me she would take them to the board. The recording paused. Then Daniel's voice became quieter. Yesterday, Richard asked me why I was searching White Harbor. Today, someone followed me home. If anything happens to me, check my employee record. If Arborcrest says I still work there after I die, they are using me. The recording ended. Emily stared at the screen. Daniel knew. I thought about Vanessa pressuring me to sign the review. She had known about White Harbor. Daniel had trusted her. Either she had betrayed him or someone was forcing her to participate. Emily asked to see the security footage. I played it for her. She watched without speaking. Then she asked me to replay the moment when the man turned toward the camera. That is not Daniel, she said. He looks exactly like him. I know. She paused the video and enlarged the image. Daniel broke his left wrist when he was a teenager. He could not rotate that hand completely. He always swiped cards with his right hand. The man in the video used his left hand. Emily pointed toward his ear. Daniel had surgery when he was a child. Part of his right ear was missing. This man has both. Then who is he? Emily closed the laptop. Her face had lost all color. Daniel had an identical twin brother. I stared at her. He never mentioned a brother. Almost nobody knew. His name is Nathan. They had not spoken in 12 years. Why? Nathan went to prison for fraud. He spent years using Daniel's name whenever he got in trouble. Daniel finally cut him out of his life. Where is Nathan now? He was released 8 months ago. 2 months before Daniel died. As we left the coffee shop, I noticed a dark SUV parked across the street. A man sat behind the wheel. His face was hidden in shadow. But when our eyes met, he started the engine. The SUV pulled away. That night, I received another message from Daniel's email. It contained an address and a time. Below it were 6 words. Come alone if you want the truth. The address belonged to an abandoned storage facility near the edge of the city. I knew going there alone was dangerous. I sent the location to Emily and told her to contact the police if I did not call within 15 minutes. Then I drove to the storage facility. The outer gate was unlocked. Only one unit had a light inside. When I stepped closer, a man emerged from the shadows. For one terrible second, I believed Daniel had returned from the dead. The same face, the same height, the same gray eyes. But this man's expression was harder. There was no warmth in it. Nathan? I asked. He nodded. You should not have reported Vanessa, he said. You sent the video. Yes. You used Daniel's email. Yes. Why? Because Richard Vale told me you had seen the performance review. He wanted to know whether fear would make you cooperate. I felt a chill move through me. You were trying to scare me. At first. What changed? I listened to Daniel's recording. Nathan held up a small flash drive. He sent me a copy before he died. I never opened it because I thought it was another lecture about fixing my life. Why are you using his badge? Nathan sat on an overturned crate. He looked exhausted. After Daniel died, Richard contacted me. He knew about my criminal record. He knew I needed money. He told me Daniel had stolen from the company. And you believed him? I believed what was useful to believe. Richard offered Nathan a temporary job retrieving files that Daniel had supposedly hidden. Because the brothers were identical, Nathan could enter sections of the building protected by facial recognition cameras. Richard gave him Daniel's badge. He gave him Daniel's access codes. He also deposited Daniel's salary into an account controlled by Nathan. At first, I thought I was helping the company recover stolen information, Nathan said. Then they asked me to approve contracts using Daniel's account. White Harbor? He nodded. Richard said the approvals had already been authorized. They only needed Daniel's digital signature to correct a system error. You knew that was fraud. I knew eventually. But you continued. Nathan looked away. Yes. He admitted that he had entered the building at night at least 9 times. He retrieved paper contracts from secure storage. He approved payments under Daniel's account. He also removed documents from Daniel's home after the funeral. You stole the evidence from Emily. Richard told me the documents would make Daniel look guilty. He said he was protecting Daniel's family. You wanted to believe that too. Nathan did not answer. I asked how Vanessa was involved. Nathan took out his phone and showed me a series of messages. The messages came from Richard. One instructed Nathan to collect an access card from Vanessa. Another told him she had become unreliable. The last message had been sent shortly after I reported her. Vanessa failed. Prepare the Mercer record for permanent closure. What does permanent closure mean? I asked. I do not know. I thought about the false performance review. The external audit was coming. If auditors selected Daniel's employee record, Arbor Crest needed proof that he had been alive and working after his reported death. My signature would have provided that proof. Where is Vanessa now? Nathan handed me a key. She has an apartment on Fulton Avenue, number 614. Richard has people watching her house, so she is hiding there. Why are you helping me? Because Daniel spent his entire life paying for my mistakes. Then I helped these people steal his name after he died. His voice broke. I cannot change what I did, but I can stop doing it. I left the storage facility and contacted a detective. At first, he believed the problem was ordinary identity theft. Then I played Daniel's recording and showed him the White Harbor payments. The case was transferred to financial crimes investigators. They told me not to contact Arbor Crest again. But before they could locate Vanessa, she called me. She sounded terrified. Did you speak to Nathan? Yes. Then you need to meet me. I found her inside the apartment on Fulton Avenue. The curtains were closed. Her company laptop had been dismantled across the kitchen table. Vanessa looked like she had not slept in days. You reported me, she said. You asked me to falsify a dead employee's record. I know. Why? She sat down. Daniel brought me evidence about White Harbor. I promised I would take it to the board. Before I could, Richard called me into his office. Richard had shown her documents carrying her electronic signature. Those documents made it appear that Vanessa had approved the false contracts. She insisted her signature had been copied. Richard told her that if she exposed the scheme, the company would blame everything on her. Then Daniel died, she said. Did you believe the accident was connected? Yes. Why did you stay silent? I was afraid. That silence allowed them to keep using Daniel. I know. Vanessa admitted that Richard ordered her to obtain my signature. The external auditors had randomly selected Daniel's personnel file. They wanted proof that he had remained employed after February. Without the performance review, the entire fraud could be exposed. You threatened my job, I said. I had Richard on the phone while I was speaking to you. He was listening. You could have warned me. I tried. By telling me to sign? Look at the review dates, Claire. I made the false information obvious. I chose you because Daniel trusted you. I knew you would read it carefully. I stared at her. You wanted me to refuse. I wanted someone to do what I had been too afraid to do. Her explanation did not erase what she had done. She had still tried to make me part of a crime. She had still threatened me. But she had also placed the evidence directly in front of the one employee most likely to question it. Vanessa showed me the final message Richard had sent her. It ordered her to return to the office at midnight and delete Daniel's archived personnel records before the auditors arrived. Investigators decided to use the message. Vanessa agreed to cooperate. At 11:50 that night, she entered Arborcrest carrying her badge. Nathan entered through another door using Daniel's credentials. Police and federal investigators waited nearby. I was not supposed to be inside, but the company still had Daniel's original performance review in its physical archive, and I was the only person who knew the exact file room where old peer reviews were stored. I went with them. At midnight, Richard Vale and Graham Pike arrived. They did not know investigators were listening. Richard told Vanessa to delete Daniel's employee file. Graham ordered Nathan to approve one final transfer from White Harbor. Nathan refused. Then Graham said something that changed the investigation. Your brother should have signed what we gave him. He would still be alive if he had understood that. The room became silent. Nathan stepped toward him. What did you do to Daniel? Graham realized too late that he had said too much. He moved toward the door. Police entered from both sides. Richard tried to delete files from his phone. Graham attempted to run. Both men were arrested before they reached the elevator. Inside Richard's briefcase, investigators found Daniel's security badge, copies of the false performance review, and a list of 7 deceased or former employees whose accounts were still active. At the bottom of that list was my name. Beside it was a date scheduled for the following month. I was not only the employee they wanted to use as a witness, I was going to become their next ghost employee. The investigation lasted 14 months. Financial investigators discovered that White Harbor Solutions was one of 5 shell companies controlled by Graham Pike and Richard Vale. They had stolen more than $12 million. They kept former employees active in the payroll system, so those accounts could approve false contracts. Some employees had retired, some had moved away, 3 were dead. Daniel had discovered the scheme while reviewing a hospital contract. When he began asking questions, Richard accessed his confidential employment file. That was how they learned about Nathan. They knew Daniel had an identical twin with a fraud conviction. They believed Nathan could be controlled with money and threats. They also believed that if anyone saw him on a security camera, the footage would make Daniel appear alive. That confusion would delay the insurance claim and weaken questions about Daniel's death. But the most terrible discovery involved Daniel's car. His death had been ruled an accident caused by brake failure. Investigators reopened the case. Security footage from a parking garage showed Graham near Daniel's car 2 days before the crash. Phone records placed Richard in contact with a mechanic who had once worked for one of White Harbor's fake vendors. The mechanic admitted that he had damaged Daniel's brake system. He said Graham told him they only wanted to frighten Daniel. The evidence showed otherwise. Graham was charged in connection with Daniel's death as well as financial fraud. Richard faced conspiracy, identity theft, obstruction, and multiple additional charges. Nathan also faced charges. He had knowingly entered the building under Daniel's identity and approved fraudulent transactions. But his cooperation helped investigators recover millions of dollars and identify every stolen employee account. He accepted responsibility and later received a reduced sentence. Vanessa was not allowed to return to Arbor Crest. She admitted that she had falsified records, helped Nathan enter the building, and pressured me to sign the review. Her fear explained her actions. It did not excuse them. She avoided prison because she cooperated, but she lost her position and professional license. Some of my coworkers blamed me. They said I should have spoken to Vanessa privately before reporting her. They said she had been trapped by powerful people. They said my complaint cost her career. One person told me I had destroyed the life of a woman who had secretly been trying to expose the truth. But that was not exactly what happened. Vanessa had been trying to survive. There is a difference. She wanted someone else to take the risk she had been afraid to take. She chose me because she believed I would refuse. But if I had signed the form, she would have submitted it. My name would have become part of the fraud. When I finally spoke to Vanessa again, she did not ask me to apologize. She handed me a letter. "I wrote this before the arrests," she said. "I thought Richard might find me first." The letter explained everything she knew about Daniel, White Harbor, and the false employee accounts. At the bottom, she had written, "Claire did what I should have done when Daniel first came to me. She refused to sign a lie. Whatever happens to me, do not blame her for telling the truth." I read the sentence twice. Then I asked why she had threatened my job. Vanessa looked down. "Because I was afraid that if Richard heard hesitation in my voice, he would know I was trying to warn you. You still had a choice." "Yes," she said, "and I made the wrong one." That was the most honest thing she ever told me. Arbor Crest eventually settled with Daniel's family and the other victims. Emily received the life insurance payment that had been withheld. The company established a fund for employees whose identities had been misused. Several senior executives resigned. The board offered me my job back. I declined. I could not return to the office where Daniel's name had been used as a password for the people who killed him. Before I left, investigators allowed me to collect a few personal items from my desk. The office looked exactly as it had before everything happened. Daniel's empty chair was still beside mine. His coffee mug remained inside the bottom drawer. As I packed, an auditor brought me a document found in an older archive. It was Daniel's final legitimate self-assessment, completed 1 week before his death. Most of it contained ordinary comments about deadlines and contracts. But beneath the section asking employees to describe their greatest professional responsibility, Daniel had written, "A system is only as honest as the people willing to question it. Never sign something simply because a powerful person tells you it is safe." I made a copy for Emily. At Daniel's memorial service 1 year after his death, she read those words aloud. Nathan attended under police supervision. He stood at the back and said nothing. Afterward, Daniel's son Benjamin approached me. He was 11 by then. "My dad trusted you," he said. I did not know how to answer. I wish I had understood what he was investigating before he died. Benjamin looked at me with the same gray eyes as his father. "You understood when it mattered." I still think about the moment Vanessa placed that review on my desk. If I had signed it, the external auditors might have accepted Daniel as an active employee. The false payments might have continued. The truth about his death might never have been uncovered. Other employees could have lost their identities. Someone else might have died. Reporting Vanessa destroyed her career. It exposed Nathan's crimes. It caused months of fear for Daniel's family. It also revealed the people who had been hiding behind a dead man's name. Some former coworkers still believe I should have protected Vanessa before going to HR. Maybe they are right that she was also a victim. But being a victim does not give someone permission to make another person part of a crime. I did not report Vanessa because I wanted to punish her. I reported her because she asked me to sign a lie written in the name of a man who could no longer defend himself. So, am I the one who destroyed my boss's life? Or did I simply refuse to help her hide the people who had already destroyed Daniel's?